my friends, and welcome to Paulina Art. In this video, part 1, I'm going to be demonstrating how I created the background and the basket. Because there's a lot of elements in this painting, there's the basket and all this array of flowers, I've decided I'm going to split the video in two. Part 1 is going to be on how to create this pretty basket, and part 2 is going to be on the flowers and finishing the painting. If you would like to see how I created the background and this pretty basket, stay with me and let's paint together. The colors that I use for the background are phthalo green, lamp black, and I use white gesso. For the basket, I use titanium white, lamp black or black, burnt amber or brown, and medium yellow. Today, I'm working on 12 by 16 Canson acrylic paper. Please let me know if you would like to see a review on this acrylic paper. For my background, I use white gesso with a drop of green and a drop of black. And this is the color. I put about this much gesso and just a drop of green and a drop of black. I wanted a gray green. I didn't want just a black. I wanted to give the background some color. And with this nice large flat brush, I've applied the background. And before I do anything else, I'm going to wait for my background to completely dry. My surface is dry now, so I'm going to start drawing. And I'm going to divide the canvas in 4 equal parts. I'm going to divide in the center here. And I'm using white chalk to do my drawing because I can easily remove it later. And I'm going to divide it in the center here. I now have 4 equal quadrants, and I'm going to draw my basket on this lower quadrant. And I'm just going to draw a square. I don't want the basket to be as large as the square, so I'm leaving some room around it. This side is straight, but just to make the basket more interesting, I'm going to curve it in just a bit like this. And I'm going to curve this a little bit as well, like a smile in here. And this is going to give me the shape that I'm looking for my basket. And I'm going to draw a bit of an oval at the top as well. And this is the opening of the basket. Now that I have established where the basket is going to be and how it's going to look like, I'm going to pick up some of the brown color I'm using, and I'm going to go ahead and paint this basket. And I'm going to paint the opening as well. I'm going to leave a small area here without paint, so I know later on where the opening of the basket is. By the time the painting is done, you're not going to see this area, but it's good to define it because it's going to help us when we're doing the rest of the painting, when we're placing the flowers and that. Once the first coat of paint is done, I'm going to let this dry. Okay, the basket is dry, and I'm going to pick up the chalk again, and I'm going to find the center approximately, and I'm going to do a line a little bit off center. Because this is the center of the basket and we see this much, but here we don't see the end of the basket. So the center of the basket is a little offline. Now in here, I'm going to separate this in 4. And as it gets closer to the end, they get slightly smaller, like that. And I'm going to do the same here. And I'm going to draw this line following the shape. This one is more straight. And they start shaping a little bit towards this side. I'm going to be using now a flat brush, and I'm also going to be using some floating medium for this painting. This floating media helps the acrylic paint flow and blend really well. I'm going to pick up some floating medium, and I'm going to add brown, the brown that I use for the basket. I'm going to add yellow. I'm creating a warmer, lighter brown, and I'm going to add white as well. Something like this. And I'm going to go over these lines. Once these lines are dry, I'm going to draw lines going this way, and I'm going to follow this smiley line up here that curves a little bit. And this is just going to guide me when I'm doing the weave. And try to keep them slightly curved, don't do them straight. They don't have to be perfect, but just to give you some guidance. And with the same brush and the same color, I'm going to start creating the weave, and I'm going to cover one of these lines. I'm following the curve that I did with the chalk. And I'm going to skip one and then go over the next one. And I'm going to skip this one and go over the next one. I'm skipping every second one. And for the second row, I'm going to cover the one that I did not cover the first time. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a space on these lines. Okay, I'm going to miss the next one. So every time I skip one, the one that I did on the previous row, and this way starts creating the weave of the basket. And I'm going to continue doing this. Top, I'm just going to draw a line, and I know where my top is because I left the area without paint. So this is going to guide me to finish the basket. We're going to draw part of the basket's handle, and for that I'm going to come about a third down of the top quadrant. And the handle is going to come from the side and round up like this. It's going to be a semicircle that is going to end in the middle of this upper quadrant. I'm going to paint it with the brown color. And it gets a little thinner towards this center area. And with my flat brush, I'm picking up the same lighter brown that I mixed to do the weave. And I'm going to start creating the weave of the handle. Just a bit of a curved line, curving towards the basket. I'm now going to be using a small angle brush. You can use a flat brush if you prefer. I'm going to pick up some blending gel. Make sure the brush is coated, and I'm going to pick up brown and black. And I'm going to blend it just at the toe of the brush. I want a lighter black. I don't want it black, but a black brown. And with this, I'm going to finish the basket. I'm going to add some floating at the top here. And I'm also going to add the floating on the weave. In the same way I did the weave. This just cleans it up and emphasizes the weave a bit more. And I'm going to do some on this side here as well. And this just adds more definition to the weave, the illusion of shadows of the weave. And I'm going to do the same in here. Because the light comes from the top, I'm going to add this darkness at the bottom here coming up. This gives the basket more depth. I'm now going to pick up white with some of that brown that I mixed before and a bit of yellow. I want a light, warmer, yellowy brown. And with this, I'm going to add some highlight to the basket. Mainly the light is going to be in this side of the basket. And again, I want to follow the curvature of the weave. I don't want it too thick. I'm going to clean it up a little bit with a damp brush. Just want it very subtle. I'm going to add some light. And I'm adding this on the opposite side that I did the darkness, because the dark was here. I'm adding the light more so on the other side. I'm going to add some at the top, at the edge of the basket as well. And I'm going to add at the top of the handle just a bit. Just the effect of light. With a damp brush, I can blend it a bit if I don't want it so chunky. And the basket is done.